welcome to your maths video for Tuesday the 2nd of March. This is your video if you've got a Year 2 booklet. Today we're on pages 60 and 61, learning all about 3D shapes, so make sure you've got your booklet and your pencil and your whiteboard and your pen. Now some of your whiteboard pens are running out and there's no point getting new ones because we are back at school very soon. So if you haven't got a whiteboard and a pen, just do your working out on some paper or in your purple book. Now, yesterday's warm-up was to continue the pattern and I spotted that Abbas did really well at that. Well done, Abbas. Today is to create your own shape pattern. So I've got 10 boxes here and that's because I want you to have at least 10 shapes in your pattern. You can have more if you want. And remember, it's got to be a repeating pattern. So yesterday we had square, circle, triangle, circle, square, and then you would have done, I know Abbas did, circle, triangle, circle, square. So I'd like you to create your own shape pattern. You might want to use different shapes than what I've used and create your own repeating pattern in your book or on your whiteboard. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Okay, today then it says, can I name, label and describe 3D shapes? Now yesterday we learnt all about 2D shapes and we know 2D stands for two-dimensional. I wonder what 3D stands for then. I bet you figured it out. Of course, if 2D is two-dimensional, 3D then is three-dimensional. So 2D means two-dimensional. So we said yesterday it's got a length and a width, but it hasn't got a depth. It's got no thickness because it's flat. 3D then, okay, it's got depth, it's got thickness, it's three-dimensional. So 2D, 3D. I'm sure you know the difference already. So here are some 3D shapes. So we're going to remind ourselves of the names and go through some of them. And then we're going to have a little look about how to describe their properties. So we've got a sphere. Okay, so the round ball shape is a sphere. Now lots of children in year 3 have been making me giggle because they've not been saying sphere, they've been saying Sophia. It's not Sophia. If you make a sf sound, sf, sphere, sphere. Okay, then we've got a prism and that's a triangular prism. We've got a cuboid, a cube, cylinder, pyramid, and we can have different pyramids. We can have a triangular base pyramid, we can have a square base pyramid, and we've got a cone. Okay, there are some more, but those are the most common ones and the first ones we learn. Okay, so here I've got a pyramid, as you can see. It's called a something-based pyramid. Now the base of something means the bottom. So what do you think it might be called? A what base pyramid? Well done if you said square. A square-based pyramid. Okay, so if I reveal the properties of a square-based pyramid and the description. So we've got faces, edges and vertices. So yesterday we looked at 2D shapes and we talked about how many sides they had and how many vertices they had. So we already know what vertices means. So yesterday we said that vertices are where the sides meet to form a point or a corner. Okay, now with 3D shapes we don't call them the sides, we call them edges. So here where the lines are the edges. And if we had a 3D shape in person, you can run your finger along the edges. So the edges are a bit like the sides, okay? The faces then are the 2D shapes that make the 3D shapes. So if I just put a little tick on each of the faces, you'll be able to see. So the bottom, the base, we can see there, if you go along there, it's a square-based pyramid. So that would be a square there, that would be one face. Then we've got a triangular shape there, that's the second face. And you can also see the other side, that would be the back of the pyramid, would be another one. So there's 3. Okay, we've got 1 here, another triangle, that's another face, that would be 4. And then this one here, it'd be the 5th face. It's quite hard to count them when it's a picture. It's much easier if you can see that shape in person, because you can turn it round and count all of the faces. But faces mean the 2D shapes that make it a 3D shape, okay? The edges then, we've just said, if I just get rid of all of this so you can see a little bit better, get rid of my drawing. The edges are a little bit like when we're counting the sides, but the edges, you can run your finger along. So 1, imagine if we turned it the other way, 2, 3, 4. So it'd have 4 edges along the bottom, along the square base. So 4, and then it'd be 5, 6, 7, and you can see the dotted line, that's showing that there's a line at the back, 8. So it would be 8. And then vertices, we know, are where the edges or the sides, if it's 2D, so where the edges or the sides meet to form a point. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vertices. So we describe 3D shapes a little bit different than 2D. And if you have a little look on page 60, okay, there is lots of different shapes and it's got their properties. So it's describing how many faces, edges and vertices for each shape. Now, this page is really going to help you today if you're struggling. So I'd like you to have a little look at it now and have a little look at each shape and perhaps remind yourself of the name and look if you can spot and count the edges and the faces and the vertices. And then when it comes to doing your task a little bit later, I want you to cover it up. And I'll tell you why a little bit later, but you're going to cover it up later when you do your task. Okay, let's look at another shape then. Oh, can you remember the name of that shape? Now, if you can't, we went through it at the beginning, but if you can't, have a look on page 60, see if you can spot that shape and find its name. Well done if you know that it's a cuboid. Okay, so a cuboid has got 6 faces. Now remember, the faces, and I'm going to do a bit of scribbling on this one, is the 2D shape that makes up the 3D shape. So that's 1 face, that'd be 2. Now we can't see all of this shape, can we? But imagine that cuboid was right in front of you. Okay, so if there's a face on the top that we can see, we know then there must be one on the bottom on the opposite side. So that'd be 1, 2, 3. Now if there's one this side, there's going to be a face that side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if there's one this side, there's got to be one on the opposite side, 6. So a cuboid has got 6 faces. Okay, edges then, it's got 12. So let's choose a different colour and let's draw on the edges. So remember, edges, if you had that shape in person, you can run your finger along. It's a bit like the sides. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if there's 4 there, there's got to be 4 the other side. 1, 2, let's draw it in, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 add 4 is 8. 5, oh sorry, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we'd have 4 there, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 edges. Now, can you spot how many vertices there are? And I'll help you out a little bit. I'll rub off some of my drawing because it's a little bit distracting. Okay, how many vertices are there? So remember where the edges meet to form a point or a corner. Oh, I can see 4 there. So how many must be on the other side? Well done. If you know that it's 8, because if there's 4 there, there's going to be 4 on the other side, and 4 add 4 is 8. Okay, I bet you can remember the name of this shape. Well done. If you know, it's a cone. And to remind you, if you ever forget, think of an ice cream cone or a cone of chips. It will help you remember. Okay, so faces then. A cone has got 2 faces. So remember, faces are the 2D shapes that make the 3D shape. So we've got a circular face on the bottom, on the base of a cone. So it's got one circular face, and then its second face is the one that wraps all the way around to create the cone shape. So it's got 2 faces. Okay. It's got one edge, and the one edge runs all along the bottom of the circular face. So if you imagine that in person, you could just run your finger along the one edge. How many vertices can you spot? So remember, vertices form a point. Well done if you know that it's 1. Okay then. Today's task is to complete page 61. And you've got two questions. The first one says draw a ring around the pyramid. The second one says name these 3D shapes. Now, when it's the second one, if you're worried a little bit about spelling, don't worry, because it doesn't matter if you spell them wrong, just sound them out. But if you are a little bit worried, you can have a little peek at some of the spellings on this page. For question 3 though, make sure you cover this page up. Okay, have a go at working out how many faces, vertices and edges there are, and use the lines to help you to imagine it in person to help you count. And then at the end, what you can do is you can check your answers using that helpful page. But when you're doing question 3, make sure it's not on show. I don't want any cheating today. I know you wouldn't. Okay, if you'd like a challenge today, I'd be really, really impressed if you could label some of the 3D shapes. If you could label some of the faces of what 2D shapes it's made up of. So if I look at the cylinder, I know the cylinder has got 2 circle faces, and then the shape that wraps all the way around the outside would be a rectangle. So it'd wrap round to form a cylinder. So I'd label rectangle, circle, circle. See if you can label some as a challenge too. I can't wait to see how you get on, and I will see you tomorrow.